Today we are celebrating a very, very important week. It is called Childline Dosti week. It is from the 14th of November till the end of this week. So what you will learn today is, if you see a child in distress, if you see a problem happening in families, if you see things that are not going right, all you have to do is ring up this particular number, 1098 or 1098, and call this number, and you will get immediate assistance. That's why it is called Childline 1098. So straight away I will introduce you to this expert panel who are dealing with this huge problem in Goa, and they will tell you all about what they do and how they do it, so that you get familiar with dealing with this situation in case you see a child in need. So straight away, I'd like to introduce you straight from my left, the Superintendent of Police, Dr. Mr. Shekhar Prabhudesai. He is looking after this particular problem and from the police point of view, and he immediately takes charge when he is called to help the CWC chairman to deal with this situation. The CWC chairman is Mr. Gurunath Dume. He's on my right there, the nice young-looking man, and he's the one responsible for North Goa. There's another gentleman who looks after South Goa, but at this moment, since we do not have enough space for so many people on the panel, we have requested Mr. Dume to handle both North and South Goa. And on my immediate left is Mrs. Sushma Mandrekar, who is the chairperson of the Goa State Commission for Police for Child and Protection. So she looks after all the aspects from the point of view of the government of Goa, and she will tell you more about what she does and how she does it. And on my right is none other than Father Maverick, who is the director of Childline. And as you know, Father Maverick is involved in many and many other institutions, helping various situations in Goa. And we are very happy to introduce the panel to all of you. And we thank you, gentlemen and dear lady, for coming this morning. So straight away, I go to Mr. Prabhudesai. Mr. Prabhudesai, sir, can you tell us what exactly is your role as far as Childline is concerned?
Our role starts the moment we get information. The information is either given information is given by our own people. We have around 7,000 manpower. Or the information is given to us by any member of general public or relatives that there is a child who needs care and protection. The moment we get information, we immediately contact NGO and we secure the presence of the child at police station. And in presence of NGO, the child is being, we inquire about. And then if we come to know that the parents are somewhere in Goa, we also call the parent. If the issues are minor issue, then in the presence of NGO, and if we could give some solution, the solution is offered and the child is given back to the parents. In case of a child is found and the parents are somewhere outside the state of Goa, then immediately we hand over the child to the welfare committee. And this is done within 24 hours of the child, the moment we get the information. This has to be done within 24 hours. And then the procedure is taken care of by the committee. During counseling, if we come across that a child is being abused or subject to cruelty, then we register a case against the person who has done this. And then in case of petty offenses, we send a report to the Juvenile Welfare Board within 1 month. And in case of heinous crime, we send a report within 2 months. The report is sent to them. So the board is also aware of the progress of the investigation. So our main role is to secure the child and then hand over to the committee for the further course.
Thank you, Mr. Prabhudasai. We'll come back to you in a moment with further questions. But in the meantime, Mr. Dume, would you like to tell us what is your role and how it is taking place in Goa today?
I am 78 years young. I held the post of director of the chairperson of Child Welfare Committee in May 2017, if I am right, and my tenure expires in the year 2021, that is next year. So our main job is to ensure that the child produced before us is rehabilitated or restored to their biological parents. When the child is produced before us, what we do first thing that we have to do is to admit the child in an institution. That is, we have got Apnagar, government run institution, and we admit the child for her safety. Now, once she is admitted, she is produced the next day. She is produced before the Child Welfare Committee, because under the Juvenile Justice Act, whenever a child is to be produced before any individual member, he has to pass an order for her admission, for the admission of the child in government-run institution, which is to be ratified by the committee, by all the members. And the committee is constituted by 5 members. And it is to be ratified. It is placed, the order passed by individual member is to be placed before the committee, who ratifies the order passed by individual member, and thereafter the process starts. We just produce the child, then we call the child before us. We interact with the child. Many children that are produced before us, they are either run away from their home, or offenses is being committed against such child. Then we interact with this child and we tell them under what circumstances they have to leave their house. And after interacting, if the counseling is required, then we just make arrangement. We take steps to refer that child for counseling and see what best could be done. Now thereafter, if the child, many times what happens, we are facing mainly the child of the parents who are migrants. Most of the children that are produced before us, before the committee, are migrants. So we have to trace who are the biological parents of the child, and thereafter we try to contact them, and they on their own appear before us for taking the custody of the child. So what we do, we first, before giving the custody of the child to their parents, we verify their their records, their Aadhaar card, to ensure that they are the biological parents. Because many times it may so happen that we may give the custody to the child to any person who is not at all concerned with the child, and she may be trouble, and some mischief might have come against that. So to ensure that, we just go through the Aadhaar card record, we certify ourselves that the child belongs to the biological parent who appeared before us, and then we give the custody to the child. We take undertaking from the parents saying that in case any of the child, many times what happens, out of frustration, the child leaves the house because the parents complain that they do not listen to their parent.
That's right. Yeah.
Whatever, any instruction or any, they are not loyal or obedient. Whatever, in whatever manner these parents want them to behave, they are misbehaving, and in such matters, we just ensure them, we take an undertaking from them. If any such thing happen, then they should report it to CWC for CWC to take further action in the matter. So rehabilitation and restoration to the child is the major issue that we are dealing with. Now secondly, there are also some orphans or their parents are handicapped. So in such matters, the orphans, we declare the child. Many a time parents surrendered the child for some reasons. Possibly maybe that a child is born without having a valid legal marriage.
Okay.
So in such matter, the parents appear and they surrender the child to CWC, and we after having interaction with the child, after having interaction with the parents also, we try to know why they have to surrender the child. In such matters, we declare the child fit for adoption, and we refer the matter to Caritas for them to take further action in the matter. There are many cases also where we give the child in foster care. In fact, yesterday we had one matter where a family who is not having a husband, her husband has expired some years back, and the only son also expired some 3 months back, and she had nobody to look after. So she filed an application, she appeared before her, and she wanted to take the child in foster care. So we are dealing the yesterday's case only. So in such matters, what we do, that in order to give the child in foster care, we have to satisfy ourselves that she has got intent, ability, she is financially sound to give the child in foster care. We ask for home study report from DCPU, or many times we also ask a NGO, Childline, to submit their report, that social investigation report, and accordingly we take final decision in the matter.
Right, Mr. Hindu, my goodness, you've got one very, very big job in your hands.
Yes.
And a very humanitarian job.
Humanitarian, exactly.
Incredible. Right, let's now talk to the chairperson of the GPC, Mrs. Shushma Mandrekar. Tell us what's your role and how you go about it.
I'm the chairperson of Goa State Commission for Protection of Child Rights. We joined here in 2018 June. So commission is actually a statutory body to look into all the issues of the children, whether it's a need of care and protection, or the children who are having a parents, or children who are from the outside state who are in the state of Goa. Because commission's mandate is what? Is providing a child-friendly society to the children. So that is our main aim and objective. So commission is constituted under Commission for Protection of Child Rights Act. That apart, we have our own rules, that is Goa State Commission for Protection of Child Rights Rules 2010, and there is a recent amendment in 2019. So according to that, what is our main role is protecting the rights of children. So protecting the rights of children means which children? It is all the children, whether they are orphan, whether they are having a family, or whether they are from other states and they are been settled here, or for the time being as a tourist they are in state of Goa.
Right, yeah.
So what we do, so the rights of children means providing them a healthy environment, providing a nutritious food, providing them a education, protecting them from not getting abused or sexually abused or assaulted, also having they are having a freedom of speech and expression, so they can have their own name, nationality, they can profess their own religion. So these are all the rights of the children. So to protecting that right, we have a committee constituted of 7 members. A chairperson is the head along with the 6 members. So all these members are from the eminent fields, like some are psychologists, some are from law background, some are from the health, others, some are work in a labor issue. Also, I was actually earlier the member of the Child Welfare Committee South Goa. So I have worked with regard to issues of children. From that I had been to this because we are the experts, like, so we are the commission is the apex body in the state, and at the center there is National Commission for Protection of Child Rights. So whatever the issues, when it comes to the protecting the right, it should be in consonance with the Constitution of India and United Nations Rights of Children.
That's right.
So we have to work with that aspect and intention that the rights of the child are not violated. Further, commission is not also that, commission is also a monitoring body. And we have to implement certain acts and statutes. How the Dhume sir told us that he is the chairperson of the Child Welfare Committee, and Child Welfare Committee is constituted under the Juvenile Justice, Care and Protection of Children Act 2015 and rules. Then there is a POCSO Act, that Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act, that is 2012. Then again we have our own this statute, that is Goa Children's Act 2010 rules. So under that there are certain provisions which are made for the protecting the children, their rights, and promoting their interests, preventing them from getting abused, or for the overall development of children. So the commission looks into overall all the issues of the children in state of Goa. So this is the main function of commission. So we are a monitoring body, we are the recommendatory body to the government. If any issue happens where the CWC is not able to take care, where the CWC needs the assistance of the commission, even the police also, if any disabled child is sexually assaulted, abused, and if the proper investigation or monitoring or the case has been not properly taken care, then anybody can approach, or commission can sue to take cognizance of these matters, and commission can reach out to the children. So this is what exactly the commission is.
Wow, my goodness me, I cannot believe that you got such a lot of responsibility under the law, and you work also with the state government and make sure that everything goes right. Wonderful. Last but not least, Father Maverick, could you tell us what is the role of Childline in Goa and how you as the director go about implementing it?
Yeah. Childline is a helpline for children. As we said, 1098 is a catch number. It's not 8, 9, 10. That's normal way of learning numbers, but it's 1098. It's for children to learn a number, because it's an opposite of things what should be of a child's life, to learn it 8, 9, 10 rather than 1098. But that's a catch number that is given to them. In Goa, we have Childline North Collab and South Collab. And besides that, we also have a special desk for a child help desk at the railway station in Madgaon, which looks at around a kilometer around the Madgaon railway station. Now coming back to the Childline, see, this is a body which has been under the Ministry of Women and Child, Government of India, because Childline India Foundation is the nodal body for this under the Ministry of Women and Child. Now, the role of Childline is to reach out to a child in any distress situation, need of care and protection. And our mandate is within an hour of that call that we receive of 1098, we have to be at the service of the child. So the immediate response that happens to the child in such a situation is our staff runs to the area, discusses the matter, and if there is need of the police to intervene and rescue the child, we approach the nearest police station within that jurisdiction. We have got a very positive response from the police always because of the rapport that our staff builds with the various police stations, and they know what work of Childline is. So then the police will rescue the child, and we have to approach the CWC for whatever the condition and the state of the child is. So from that, the Child Welfare Committee takes over. Apart from this, we also go into, as an part of our work of Childline, is to do outreach work, to sensitize people about this 1098, to inform people that if they notice any child in distress situation in need of care and protection, please call this 1098 number. So this is what we do in the schools, in the offices, private offices, government offices, communicating to them about 1098. We go across the streets to inform people on the shops, at the beach areas, and different areas of people, wherever they are, in the market areas, in the bus stands. So these are how we communicate about the information about the Childline. And apart from that, we do very special programs in schools to inform children about their rights. There's a very significant program under Childline in schools is the good touch, bad touch information that is there. That's where a lot of cases keep coming up of assault, of sexual abuse within the family, outside the family. And once we receive this type of cases, we afterwards investigate and get in the help of the police if there is need of intervention of the police. Again, we go to the CWC with the police to show that this is a case which requires either in conflict of law, or it is with regard to a need of care and protection, or sexual abuse. So this is the type of work that Childline goes across doing all the time.
Right. Thank you, Father Maverick. Now, let me start straight away with you.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you go to schools, you go to various offices, etc., etc., etc. What is the definition of a child? Who is a child? Up to what age is a child?
Yeah. We consider here the Goa Children's Act, the Juvenile Justice Act. These are the acts which are there, which define who the child is.
Okay.
And they look at 18 years and below as a child who is to be considered as a child.
Okay,
so it's a law.
Yeah.
So Juvenile Justice Act is there, the Goa Children's Act is there.
So those of you who are listening to this program, remember, it is not only when you say child, it's a very little child. Child means anything from a little born child right till the age of 18. So there are various types of abuses happening in our society today, especially in connection with girls. And thanks to our social media, we are having more and more problems due to porn and other things that encourage people to do the wrong things. So we have to be as citizens conscious of this fact that we are equally responsible to help a child, irrespective of who the child is, whether it's from a migrant child or from a village child or whatever child, that if that child is in trouble, you have to inform 1098, and as Father Maverick has just told us, they will within an hour go to solve this problem or try to help to solve the problem. Now, the link is between Father Maverick and Mr. Dume, who is the CWC chairperson. Now, Mr. Dume, can you please tell us, you mentioned a very interesting thing about a baby born. Can you go a little bit further and tell us a few cases of what actually happened and how did that child get into a foster home or whatever?
Yeah. That baby home, whenever a child is born, if the biological parent do not want the child, then they have to approach the CWC and execute a deed of surrender. There is a provision in the Act that if a child does not want the custody of the child, then they can execute deed of surrender before CWC, and we give them 60 days time to revoke their decision. And so once the deed of surrender, it doesn't mean that once for all she loses the custody. It is not like that. 60 days time is given to the person to revoke his earlier decision and claim the custody of the child.
Alright.
Now, if the child is newborn, then there is an institution, OPM. We send the child to the OPM, that CCI, where the care is taken of the newborn baby for 60 days.
All right, okay.
And even thereafter, in case the parent do not want to take the custody.
Now, one thing, Mr. Dume, that I'm not clear about.
Yeah.
is where does the financing come from? Take, for example, this baby child.
Yeah.
Where does the financing come from to look after that child?
That financing, that aspect, actually I will not be able to throw
No,
any
no.
light on
Government.
this.
The government makes
Probably,
provision for that.
The chairperson will
Yeah.
enlighten us on that.
Yes. What happened in the state? What father said, the Ministry of Women and Child Development. So similarly, we have our ministers here for Women and Child Development, and we have our department, Directorate of Women and Child Development. The center sends that money to the ministry. Even our state government makes certain amount of budget, finance is maintained, and under certain amount of money has been retained for the development of the women and children in state of Goa or in the central level, the center state. So that money has been allotted to the Department of Women, and that in the institution like child care institution, where these children who are orphan, who are abandoned, or who are in need of care and protection are placed. The grants are funded from the Department of Women and Directorate of Women and Child Development.
So whoever the CWC says to you that this child has been given to this particular place, can you make sure the finances are taken care of? Is that the way it happens?
CWC declares that child is in need of care and protection,
Right.
and that child is placed in a child care institution.
Yeah.
And the government, means the Directorate of Women and Child Development, funds to that child care institution, and that is as per the child. Means the children who are placed in that institution, the Directorate of Women and Children transfer that funds to that institution to take not a single child.
Right.
There are so many children like this who are taken care.
Now,
How the fund is dispersed, that only the department will be able to tell.
Yeah.
In fact, CWC.
anyway, I'd like to pose this question to Mr. Prabhudesai, the Superintendent of Police. You mentioned that you got a huge force that can be approached at any time. You said 7,000 people.
7,000.
7,000 is a lot of police force. Now, we don't hear often that the police force is very helpful. Now, since 7,000 people know about the Childline, etc., would any police who is contacted be able to immediately take control of the situation and help
Yeah.
that particular family?
Yeah. We have 28 police stations in state of Goa.
Right.
17 are in South District, 11 are in North District.
Right.
Apart from this police station, we have 2 dedicated children and women and child units.
Yeah.
One is located in Panjim, one is located in Margao, to take care of these issues. So in addition to that, every police station we have one officer of rank of police sub-inspector who has been appointed as a child welfare officer. In addition to that, also we have juvenile unit at every police station which is headed by a rank of officer of rank of PSI with 3 subordinate. These are exclusively, designated for the purpose for quick action. So the moment we get any information, these people come into action, and immediately the process, whatever process is to be taken care of, is taken care of by these people. So immediate action, because it's time bound. We are supposed to produce it within 24 hours. So after the medical examination, that too within 24 hours, we do medical examination of the child. So we are bound to take action within that required time.
Okay. Now, can you give us 1 or 2 specific cases of a child that has been abused and what has happened in terms of your jurisdiction?
I'll give one example. It is a North Goa example. A couple adopted a child from neighboring state,
Right.
and they registered it in MAPSA. They registered the birth certificate and they posed to be the biological parents of the child.
Okay.
And after handing over the child to the relative, they left abroad. So when we got the information that this child is being abused, the child was brought at police station. Along with NGO, when we started talking to the child, the relatives told us that these people are not the biological parents of this child. And they gave us the information of the biological parent who are in other state. So we contacted them and we brought them. Then we came to know that they are the biological children, whereas they forged birth certificate in connivance with hospital, a lawyer.
Oh, yes.
And that's how we brought that issue with the child welfare. Now the process of adoption is being taken up by the child welfare, and we have already charged the case and it's pending. The law itself gives us the list of offenses wherein any violation becomes an offense. So one is illegal adoption.
Okay, right. Now, Mr. Prabhudas, just to continue a little bit further, how busy are these people who have been specifically appointed for this particular work? How busy are they?
Busy in the sense they do their routine police station work also, but when this issue comes, they give priority to this issue.
So that's the way it happens. All right, Mr. Dume, can you please continue and tell us? We talked about a baby who was just born. What about the child who has been neglected or beaten up or whatever? How many are the cases happening in your jurisdiction, and how busy are you all to look after this?
On an average, I think maybe 5 to 6 every month.
5 to 6 cases every month?
Yes, every month.
That's a lot of cases.
Yes. Such
Because
cases are
we are
reported,
talking about-
sexual abuse,
we are
yes,
talking
sexual
about
abuse,
children
harassment.
here.
Yes,
And there are 5-6 cases a month. That's a lot of cases.
yes, yes.
And roughly, how would you categorize them? I mean, would they be abused? Would they be beaten up? What
Yes,
is it?
most of the
Starvation?
cases, parents beating the child,
Ah,
then sexual abuse. Then
that's happening in Goa.
Goa, yes. Sexual abuse, there are cases which we
that's,
deal. And mostly harassment, then mostly running away from the house because of harassment by the parents. Then they come in contact with their boyfriend. They leave the house and go with their boyfriend.
This boyfriend thing is because of the fact that a child is a child till she's 18.
It is, yes.
So it is not abnormal for a child to look for a relationship, particularly if the things at home are not very satisfactory. And if they then happen to get into a wrong relationship, I'm sure the problem gets even more complicated.
Probably, yes.
Right. Ma'am, could you tell us, in your experience, what has been one of the worst cases you dealt with?
Worst cases means actually the mostly with Goa being a tourism state, the most of the migrant laborers, they are traveling to the state of Goa And I'm not just talking a single case here, but what Dhumesh sir told us, like the child abuse and physical assault, and these are not mostly normally, they are happening in the families when they are domestic violence. But what happens since it became a tourism state, most of the migrant laborers, they travel here for the purpose of job. But when they come here and along with the families, like children, the children are becoming more vulnerable because they go for a walk, for the daily bread and butter. The children are just left unattended. Nobody is there to take care of them. Then these children are getting sexually abused, assaulted. And these are the cases because of the rise in this crime against the children and with the children also.
Is it that the abuse takes place among their own community, or it is within any community?
Sometimes it is within the community and sometimes from outside the community also. Because
and what normally is the age when this actually happens?
mostly this age group is about 6 to 18 years. In this age group is mostly occurring.
What has been the youngest case you have ever dealt with?
Youngest we can say 1 year also.
1 year?
Yes, that is because
I thought
police is also there. That is because we can't say, but this has happening here. But at the certain level, because what happens is because the migrant laborers or these children are unattended. They are in slum areas where the precautionary measures like how the children from the families, there is someone to take care, the caretakers. But these children become vulnerable because if they stay in zopadpattis or they stay in open areas and the parents go for a walk, even they are begging or all, they are like unattended there. There's nobody to take care. Then these issues.
Father, I have a question for you now, because you mentioned that in schools you all go and promote 1098. Okay.
Yeah.
My question is, what do you do with the slum kids? Because some of these kids may not even be in school and they may not even know what you do for them and how they can. How do you communicate with that kind of?
For that, we have another where we also go to the slums. So our staff, we cover up quite a number of slums in North Goa, and we do outreach program there. We do the social programs over there for them, where we communicate the same programs what we do in schools. So there we find many times children's issues are with drugs, with relationship, with also sexual assaults. So these are aspects that also come from the slums. We do reach out not just to the institutions, but also in the community and the slum areas.
Now you mentioned slums, Father.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the number of slums.
Yeah.
How do you identify which is a slum and which is not?
These are where people are gathering in different, people are residing in different areas. Now, there are designated, not notified, but there are designated areas which are where people live in unhealthy conditions. People are not having proper facilities of conducive living for children. So those are areas which we approach now and provide this care.
So do you have a kind of a team that goes about Goa and find out?
Yeah, we have a staff of we have staff members, and besides staff members, there are interns that we take in. We take in volunteers for work on this. So who help us in this whole exercise of reaching out to children.
As the police chief, sir, do you all collaborate to say that we feel that this is a new slum coming up? Would you please make sure that, is there some kind of a collaboration between the police and the director of Childline to say that something is happening here and you all please take an extra observation or something like that? What I'm trying to say is there some communication going on to help Childline do a proper job? Because you as police are all over Goa in every place you can think of. And you do keep an eye on what's going on. So what I'm saying is there some meeting or some collaboration taking place to make sure that Maverick and his team do a good job?
We do keep eye on these issues, but we'll have to develop a system of having a collaboration of, wherein we could exchange of views.
Yeah, because I think...
just to communicate, there is something, a provision under the collector for this, what you're requesting information for. There's a city plan that has to be developed by the collector, who has to engage all the departments to be participating in order to support the work as far as protection of children is concerned. Right, okay. So the city action plan has to be developed. There is one nodal office for Childline in the state of Goa. Besides this institution, there's a nodal office who engages in discussion with the collector to organize this city action plan meeting, cabs they call it, no? So that different departments are also engaged in the protection of children.
I'll just add to this because the commission, we being a monitoring body, there is a civil society participation where the police, Childline, CWC, JJBs, all we have meetings like this, and we collaborate and we coordinate with each other under the Directorate of Women and Children. It is they have to, but a commission also has taken initiative many a times. We had a discussion also the children who are in vulnerable state, how to this. We had debates on this, and that time this data comes before us because many of in the meetings also that we just point out saying that so and so things are happening in some areas, like CWC point out, it brings to notice of the police where they are also the participants. There is civil society meetings which are organized by the government level where the collectors, where the JJB, CWC, Childline, everybody works on the one table under this and they decide, Baba, these are the things. It is noticed. It is not unnoticed. It is how it is reaching into the other stakeholders.
No, because one of the things that I find difficult to understand is that we have tons of people coming from other states to work here. They come with their wife, their children, blah, blah, blah. And who is keeping track of the children that come? Who is keeping track of the numbers? Who is keeping track to make sure that we know what's happening in our own state?
Because the recent, because of pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, the High Court, even the Supreme Court, they have a directorate, the commissions, even the CWCs or the Childline being a nodal this NGO for working for the children through the Ministry of Women. This so many slots which are coming, like the migrant laborers who are coming with the families, where they are settled, whether they are providing hygienic condition to stay, the food accommodation. So it is through the government, through the collectors, other nodal agencies. This is how this is working. This is how the track has been kept.
I'm going to ask you as a government representative one probably not the right question to ask, but I will ask you anyway. You see, we have in schools a provision for giving children food. Okay, they're given food at the midday meals. Now, what about the children who don't go to school? Who provides them food, particularly when both husband and wife are working and the poor things are there playing with the mud and the dirt and whatnot? What happened to their food?
Actually, the Anganwadi is like, now we said the slum areas, like these are the areas where mostly these people stay. Right, yeah. The Anganwadi system, which is through the Directorate of Women and Child Development, they takes care of these needs of these children. Mostly these are below age group of 6 years. Mostly these children go to the schools, means these Anganwadis, where they are provided these meals, all these things.
Oh, I see. So any child, say 3 to 6 goes there. And what about the children who are below that?
Below that, mostly sometimes they are data is not available properly, and that is where we are lacking. Actually, we are trying to keep a record with that also, but in the like Childline, certain NGOs bring to the notice that the children are there. Even certain NGOs are working. It's not only the government system. There are many NGOs also in state of Goa who are working, because during pandemic time, many of the NGOs have come forward. They have provided shelter homes. The government has provided shelter home where the NGOs has provided a food to them. They have taken care of the needs also. So these are the civil society participation along with the NGOs and the government bodies. It is.
I think it might be right to say to you who are watching this program that if you find a migrant family coming and living in close quarters, and they, particularly the little children who are between say 0 to 3 years old, and the mother and father have both gone to work, is it possible for the people in the village to inform the director of Childline that we have about 6-7 children who are just crying there and finding it difficult to even feed themselves? Is it possible for you, as a citizen of the country and a very interested person in looking after the welfare of our people, please inform on 1098 that we see about 6-7 babies, literally babies, doing nothing, not even being given a piece of bread. So they're just crying, and they are without clothes, and they don't know what to do with themselves. So I'm appealing to you that you, as a person in the village, and you see these things happening, even if the child is not abused, even if the child is not hurt, nothing of the kind, but hungry, report it to Father Maverick on 1098, and he will make sure that with the agencies that he has working in collaboration, that something is done for even the little ones so that they have something to this. Because if the child is not fed, that child will be malnourished, and it will be a big problem for ourselves. There's a lot of money that will be spent later on to try to bring that child back to health. It's better to spend a little bit on the bread and milk rather than let that child be malnourished and create a problem for our future, for our own people, for ourselves. So,
in fact, what about the last week, we visited that El Shaddai daycare in Panjim, where now because of this pandemic, no children are attending this daycare center, which we have. So we found them cooks preparing food. So we asked them, if there are no children coming, to whom you are cooking this food? They said that we are preparing parcels and we give them to the street children that are found in the streets. That's what they told us.
Another aspect about this child protection is what we need to bring into focus also, where minors are engaged in domestic work. And it is unfortunate that many well-placed people in the society don't have any qualms of conscience to engage minors into domestic work. They're made to get up early in the morning, they go to sleep late in the evening. The conditions of work, the pressure and the stress of work for these children is so much. And it is an appeal to people, to be conscious that children have to be given their childhood, not make them workers. So this is an important thing that people in the society have to be also very much conscious, because we get a lot of cases, and there are some cases which are even charge sheeted with the help of the police.
Common, yes.
With the help of the police, got charge sheeted, and they got a proper conclusion to that whole case. So many times we notice that well-placed people in society are engaging in this type of a crime.
So there you are once again. If you see that there is another family that is mistreating the children by making them work as maids or servants or whatever you like to call it, and making them work abusive hours, you should complain and use the 1098. Use the 1098 and tell the people to go and investigate what's happening. Why is the child engaged to work in the first place? If the child is being taught by a person in the house and given a little bit of work, that's understandable. But if the child is working from 6 in the morning till 12 or 9, 10 in the night, that is abuse. That is abuse, and it should be avoided as far as possible. So if you notice something, please be a good citizen and inform Childline, and that way we will help this wonderful committee that is doing such a great job to help our children in distress to continue their work, and at the same time make it easier for children to live a better life. So with that, I would say thank you very much for your attendance. Been very kind of you, and do keep up the great work you're doing, Father. Well done. And I hope we have lesser children troubling you than more children. God bless.
Thank you.